YouTube, welcome back to part 2 of the E-Trade guide. Here we go, guys. So we're gonna be working on my middle monitor today. Um, it seems like you guys did enjoy part 1, right? So we'll jump right into part 2. And once again, don't forget that with this series, we'll have much shorter videos going over individual tools, right? Such as level 2 and time and sales, talking a little bit more about it. Now we do have a few videos out already, but still just to, update and kind of go over a few more things that I've learned over the time. So let's jump right into it. So, E-Trade, right? Second screen, middle monitor, and once again, how I best utilize the platform, especially if I'm just trading with this platform alone, right? So going into tools, we're gonna start off with some charts. So the last screen we had the daily chart and the 200 EMA. And in fact, what I'm going to do, why not go back to this screen here and duplicate it and pull it over, right? That way we don't have to worry about doing the color again at the bottom. A bit of a shortcut, right? So we'll right click and we'll hit duplicate tool all the way to the bottom right here. There we go, duplicate tool. Now we want to get this over on the second screen. What are we going to do? We're going to kind of put it midway on the screen here so it overlaps. And once we click over, okay, not quite. Or is it the top? I believe it's the top. Let's see. I believe it's the top. There we go. So once you put any tool outside of the area towards the top of the screen, that's one way to get it over to move. So we'll use that trick. We'll pull this over. That way, we save some time. We don't have to do the color scheme all over again. By the way, I have the music in the background today, right? The music in the background. It should be good. So let's enlarge this daily chart. Let's switch over here to 1 day. Today, right? 1 day and 1 minute. So this will be our 1 minute chart. Actually, let's do 5. Let's do 5 minute first. 5 minute. I like the 5 minute on my left hand side. So today, 5 minute. There we go. Let's come out. So if we go back to the 26th, let's see, QLG. Let's pull up a different stock here. LGVN. Once again, you'll want to link everything, right? Don't forget about linking the stock and that kind of thing. I mean, this one just did so well, right? That's besides the point, but of course, right? We have our 1 minute. Now let's duplicate this charting and pull up our 5 minute. We have our 5 minute. Let's pull up our 1 minute. So let's go to 1 day, 1 minute, and so we'll now be able to see all the crazy halts very well that LGVN had yesterday, right? So I mean, some crazy moves, right? So on my 1 and 5, and I don't necessarily need the 200. I prefer to have the VWAP and the 20 and the 21 simple moving averages. So let's go for the 21st closed simple, and let's put color at let's put yellow for our 20 moving average. And I want this both on my 1 and 5 minute. So this usually helps out with trades off the lows, just seeing support levels. Besides our key trend line areas. So simple, we'll do 20 again, and then yellow. Now I want the 21, so I'll add that in as well. So right clicking, right? You can right click. Let's see here. Oh yeah, don't forget, guys, the themes, right? You can still utilize the themes pretty well. So I'll come up here to studies, right? Moving averages, right? Let's see here. All studies, M, moving averages, envelope, moving average. There we go, moving average. So let's get the 21 moving average onto the chart. And I think I'll use blue, right? Blue and yellow. I think it kind of looks pretty good, right? So we can go back throughout the history of the chart for yesterday and kind of, or previous days, let's say, and kind of just take a look at the charting and how it played out in key areas off of the moving averages. On top of that, one thing that I do want to put onto the charting is my pre-market and post-market levels. Not quite sure how to explain that fully, but let's see if I can find it in here. Pre-market and after-hour trading. Chart trading, show previous close. Yes, previous close line is good, right? This is that white dotted line that just came up there. Let's see. Show extended hours. There we go. This way, it's more easy to see where the day starts. And of course, we have the calendar. We have the calendar date at the bottom, right? But it's easier when you have this purple area after hours, the green area pre-market. It lets you know, a little bit better what's going on, right? So show extended hours. There we go. Also show previous close line. So those are good indicators to have, and we can go back to our previous screen, right? So you guys can go back and also include this on the daily chart. The daily chart is not going to allow it, but we can include the previous close line just for an additional indicator when it comes to that support and resistance that we'll usually see at those levels, or at that level, right? So let's get this centered, right? Let's pull this over a little bit. Pull this over. Let's see. It's sometimes hard to kind of get the exact middle of the chart, but as best as you guys can do it, we'll set it up, try and get the middle. Same length, same size. So beneath this, beneath the charting, I do have a scanner, and this scanner is built in. It's a bit of a built-in gap scanner that E-Trade offers, but it's not that good. It's okay. It'll give you some of the hot stocks, right? If you come to tools, market movers, there we go, market movers, tools section. We'll put that right below right here. And once again, from what I'm doing, right, this is just kind of my layout. So however you guys like it, and whatever improvements you might want to put or make or adjust, you can. But for me, this is how I kind of like things, right? So let's pull this down a little bit. Fit it right there. And then pull down the charting to kind of match. Pull that over slightly. There we go. And underneath bottom right, I have an order status window. Order status. We had an order entry window on the last screen, which was this right here. This will show you the positions, the balance, cost basis, that kind of a thing, right? You can switch over to see how many day trades you have left, gainers and losers, transition history to show you all the account sweeps and transactions in terms of just pure trades. The order status window, on the other hand, will allow you to see live orders. If your order has been executed, did it go through? This is a bit of an extra indication window to see exactly what's going on with your order real time. So I don't think it's a bad one to have at all. All right. So if you want to, you can of course pull it down, have it be the same size if you want that symmetrical look. Right. For me, I have a bit of an OCD sometimes when it comes to these charts, and so I want everything to be looking clean, nice, and symmetrical. All right, pull everything down. And it's worth mentioning with E-Trade, the bottom left hand of corner of the screen right here, where I have listed as primary, scanner, secondary, and so forth, you can rename each screen to a different, whatever name you feel is suiting for what you are trying to do. You can go ahead and rename the screen. Like so, for instance, my scanner screen, which we'll be building next. My scanner screen. Oh, let's get this chart back where it needs to go. My scanner screen, which I'll be building next. You guys will see is listed scanners, right? Just for that kind of a reference and transparency, so I know what I'm clicking. Let's pull that back in frame. There we go. So moving on, right? Moving on. So initially, I had my high-low tickers on my scanner screen, this high-low ticker right here. But I realized it didn't make sense because I wasn't able to see it at all times, right? And so if you are someone with just one monitor, I would say as best as you can, and if you do want to go ahead and utilize the portion of E-Trade that allows you to put in tools and be able to scroll down. So let's say we put this here and we can now scroll down, right? Let's pull this down some more. All right, let's make this longer. So this right here is what you might have to do to you know, extend your one main screen if you want to get everything on it, because there's a lot of different tools. You can't have your charts too small, you know, that kind of a thing. So you'll need to utilize the space efficiently and accordingly. And so if you do want to have it built so where you can scroll down and have everything on the same page, I don't think that's a bad idea either. But certain tools you do want to have an eye on at all times, like the high-low ticker, because once something starts to move, that way you can see it right away and be able to jump on board and decide if you want to take trades or not. So keep that in mind, right? So we're going to be doing a high-low ticker, a news feed, and of course the watch list. I do have another Pacific scanner, and you guys will see the way how this was done. I initially had this, and I guess I didn't really update it because I didn't need to, but I had it done in a way where it was best for me when I was using 1 and 2 monitors. And so, you know, to kind of update it right now, I wouldn't use this space for this same scanner again, right? So once we move forward, I'll see what I can best put in place right there to utilize the screen more efficiently. So let's go ahead and rebuild this page. We'll start off with the news tab, right? So this tab right here will give us news, you know, kind of current market news and what's going on. You can search up specific stocks, all right? You can search up specific stocks, that kind of a thing. Let's do LGVN. By the way, we can't forget to link the other screens on this page. Hold on. Let's pull this down. We can't forget the link, right? We were using link 2 in the last video, so great. Link 2, link 2, link 2. Let's have everything linked up. The Pacific scanner, right? As I'm kind of like jumping back, the Pacific scanner is not bad at all. You can change this, and this goes with everything in E-Trade that gives columns. You can always substitute the bid and the ask for something else by right-clicking. But it's important to also mention that there's a couple of different exchanges that this one tracks. For me, I usually put it on Pacific and have it filter for highest percentage gainer. So if we click this 3 times, you'll see it going not alphabetical order, but numerical order from highest to lowest. And that'll definitely help you out when it comes to a bit of a gap scan, right? And you can change this once again, right? There's American, New York Stock Exchange, right? Bulletin Board, Chicago, Midwest, and the list goes on. NASDAQ, everything else. So if one stock, let's say you're watching for a specific stock that's not on this particular list, you want to do that due diligence. You can filter every one of them to see how the stocks may change depending on which exchange you're looking at. And so this way you can get a bit of a gap scanner. It's not the most efficient gap scanner, but you know, when it comes to being self-reliant, you know, it might take, let's say, a few more minutes than just a really good gap scanner like the ones Trade Idea might offer. But you definitely want to utilize this kind of a thing. And I do apologize, right? The way how I'm doing this video, I'm kind of like going off of a lot off of just memory and what I do, and so sometimes I move on from the indication, not the indication, the tool before fully going over everything it offers. So this is why, of course, why you want to watch to the end of the video. So if you're watching to this point, definitely hit that thumbs up button. So utilize that when it comes to the scan, and you can also hit largest stock gainers, largest stock losers, which will do the inverse for the list. Largest net change on stock gainers, and so there's different ways of going about it. And once again, by right clicking and hitting settings, we can come into this tab here that's going to allow us to change the columns. If you don't want to see total volume, you can take that off. If you don't want to see percentage change, well, I guess we would want to see percentage change, right? But dollar change, last trade, bid and ask. We already see the bid and ask on our level 2 if we click on a stock place. So we might not want the bid and ask right here. So we can remove that and try and put something else that makes more sense, right? So percentage change versus the open. Percentage change versus yesterday's close, and that's what I usually look at for a gap scan. Percentage change versus yesterday's close. Percentage change versus today's open is not bad either. It'll show you from the moment the stock opened how much it went up or down since that point. So that one is not bad to put in there. Percentage change versus the open. Let's throw that in there. After our, and you can come down the list, see what makes most sense, cost basis, and a bunch of different tools for different trade styles, right? Dividend, pay date. I mean, well, depending on if you're investing or not. I mean, there's just so much different things. Gamma, FSI, the list goes on, and so these things like this is what the brokers will do for you, right? It'll give you that ability, and in a sense, all of our brokers are tools. Some are better than others for different reasons and what they do, but there's a lot of good things there. You can look into adding to of course the list here, right? And you can of course maneuver back and forth. I didn't hit save, which is why I didn't update, but I think you guys get the point. So once again, moving on to the next list. So we have our news tab. Let's see if we can get this here properly. There we go. Are we good? Okay, we are. We got our news tab, right? Market watch, right? And this will show a lot of the current news, what's going on, why a stock is moving, and we'll have data going back over the previous days. Sometimes you can switch over here and kind of read through what's going on for a specific company, that kind of a thing. All right, so we'll have a news tab. Let's see. Our watch list will take up the right-hand side of the screen. So market depth, watch list, trade ticker, options chain for anybody who might be doing some options. Well, let's get our watch list going. Let's get our watch list going. And if you guys want my watch list, I wonder if there's a way I can export that and like put it in an Excel file sheet. I'll see about that. But so if we come back to my original page, you'll see my right hand side has a huge watch list here, and I've been compiling this watch list for 2 years. Some stocks have been on here that gotten delisted. I mean, you guys will see. I don't even know if some of these are still a thing, but some of you might see some of these names and they might ring a bell, right? CVRS, ARDM. There's a bunch of them, but it seems like these might have gotten delisted, and the list, everything else here is still going strong. Look at TEUM. TEUM seems like it's pretty close to getting delisted here at 1 cent, and it's down 81%. So that one looks like it's really struggling. We got APVO, and the list goes on and on and on and on. There's a way to get this to show the number. Let's see if I can pull that up. And so what I'll do, I'll duplicate the tool. Well, okay, instead of duplicating it, what I'll do, we'll just add a few of the most recent hot stocks, right? We can also put this on link to, why not, right? I don't know if these tools specifically need to be linked. I would say no, so, but now that everything is linked, we can definitely start on adding some stocks to our watch list. So I put in LGVN and APVO, right? We'll right click, hit settings, and you'll see enter symbol, right? Enter symbol comes up here. And for me, the way how I like doing it, right? I think you can manually add stocks to the list right here. But how I like doing it, I like to, search up my stock, right? So let's say PROG. Prog has been a pretty hot stock this last week, right? So instead of typing it in right there and hitting enter, right, PROG, enter, what I want to do is hit prog, and I believe this way works, but the way that I'm used to doing it is I'll hit find, and it's a bit of an extra step, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this way when you save and exit, it does not get erased, if I'm not mistaken, right? So settings, prog, find, there it is. I hit OK, add. Well, maybe the other way works better. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Let's go to some of our hot stocks. BFRI, right? BFRI. BFRI. Okay. It's interesting that it's making me hit the add button. I kind of find that interesting. And of course, we can filter these by percentage order, right? Percentage order. Once again, with E-Trade, whatever columns you want to remove or add, you can. So if you don't want 52-week high, 52-week low, or market cap, total volume, any of these things you can rearrange or switch. You can also drag them side to side. Get them lined up how you want it. Preference, right? Preference for however you guys want it. So that's the idea with the watch list. You right click and you search up a stock, or you just add it to the list. So we can do Facebook, Apple, Tesla, right? Whatever you want to add to the list, you can, right? And it'll pop up right there like that. And so for me, you guys know I don't really focus on these large cap stocks. So it's all about the any stock that comes up that's a hot small cap penny stock, that's what I want to add to my list. So BTTX, KTTA, those are the stocks I want to add to the list, right? BTTX, settings, BTTX, KTTA, and you know, this is how you build your watch list pretty quickly. These stocks will pop up, the data will flow in, and you know, if they ever come back up a year or two from now, they'll be right on your watch list. You'll be good to go. So the news tab can, you know, as we mentioned, linking everything, right? We're on link 2 right now. The news tab is pretty good, right? It also shows, you can look at top news, all news, market analysis, which I never even really used before, but you know, this will provide you an article, it seems like, and with some data of either a specific stock or index or sector, right? There's RSS feeds. Let's do, and right here at the bottom left, there's top 10. It seems like it'll show you kind of like the top 10 stocks and the industries and the sector that they're in, and how, you know, and how the news is relating. And so you can look at all that stuff. You know, once again, if it's linked, right, LGVN, we can pull that up and see the recent news going back the last 30 days, the last 5 days, however you want to set it, you guys can, all right? And so this is not a bad tab to have if you don't want to, let's say, be switching to your browser to Yahoo Finance. It kind of keeps everything in the broker, right? In the broker, right? You don't want to go to FinViz. You can come over here to check the news. So there's that, right? And that's our watch list. So what else can we add to this page that we got listed here as scanner, right? As scanner. Once again, some of you might be into options trades, options, right? And you can look at the options chain or the options tool. Let's see, trade ticker, time and sales, quick quote, market depth, high low. Not seeing anything. I mean, Bloomberg is one that's worth putting in there. There's sector as well, which I don't really use, but we can look into sector, research, and Bloomberg, right? These three. So let's start with sectors, right? Let's see how this looks. This seems like a pretty neat tool to have in your scans page, right? There's technicals, fundamental, and so there's different filters you can use to see what's looking good and what's not. So not bad at all for this sectors tab here. Definitely one I could get a little bit more used to using, right? I mean, I don't really trade the overall market, but it's definitely something that could be worth looking into, right? Having this available. And once again, we can change each and every one of these columns, right, to a different column. So we do have a couple of stocks, right? Regional banks, and so this is pretty good, right? For those of you who are kind of doing more than just day trading, right? You can make your watch list a bit shorter. Um, Once the list is long, they'll give you the option to scroll up or down, right? And you know you probably only want to be seeing your first 10 stocks anyways. So we can make this a bit shorter and then include a different tool in the bottom right hand corner. So let's go back to tools, research. Hold on, let's click that again. Tools, research. Okay. This is interesting. ETF screener. Sector analysis, technical strategies, company snapshot. There's a lot of stuff with E-Trade that I am not even as good with when it comes to utilizing it to its fullest extent. I mean, we can see balance sheet. This is pretty interesting stuff. Not bad. And so I guess we can look up any company using that tab there. And E-Trade kind of has its own database, and we know this database will be updated and accurate. So this is not bad at all, right? If we don't once again, if you don't want to be using the outside browsers, right? If you want to keep everything inside and simple, right? So research will pull up this bit of a column right here that'll allow you a bunch of different options here when it comes to just looking into specific stocks. Performance summary, technical strategies. Let's see what this brings up. Okay, so it seems like all of this will be linked back to this website here. And there's different things you can look up. The E-Trade website. Not bad at all. That's actually pretty new to me. Never really used that tool before. So let's take a look at... So we had the news, research sector, the website itself. Bloomberg TV is always interesting for any of you who might want to ever listen in. Bloomberg TV. It seems like there's a bit of an ad up right now, but when I used to watch it, it was pretty good. I mean, it's been a while, but the cast, Mark Crompton, and let's make sure the audio is not on, by the way. Mark Crompton, and a bunch of the other guys. I can't remember all of their names, right? But they were pretty good. I really enjoyed watching this. I probably should watch it some more. It's really good for overall data on the market. I mean, they'll let you know everything that's going on, right? They'll have analysts come in there and they'll talk. So it's a good way to stay in the loop if you're kind of, and we'll enough of that ad, right? It's a good way to stay in the loop if you're more than just a day trader, right? Which I think all of us should be. All of us should be more than just day traders, right? Because we want to be versed. We want to know what's going on. And sometimes I do get tunnel vision. So this is a pretty good, a pretty good refresher for myself. And so the calendar is the next thing we can look into here. It's pretty detailed. Maybe this one you might want to have it a little bit bigger, right? Maybe on a separate page. But for now, it is something we could look into add into this particular section, right? So you have a calendar and listing everything, right? Market holidays, your personal events, economics, certain offerings, right? Secondary offerings, IPOs, it would seem like, dividends. And so once again, getting a little bit more into the investor side of things, but some of you I do know is really well versed and are trading in different type of ways. So if you're using E-Trade Pro, this is one of the things you can consider looking into, right? Having a bit of a calendar here up at your disposal to help mark out key dates. And one thing you always want to do is play around with the tools, right? So we can enlarge this, play around with the tools, see how it works, get very familiar with it, right? Right now we have everything checked. Here we're in November month. We can uncheck some of these columns and filter it out a little bit better, right? So let's do market holidays, for example, just to kind of see what's going on here, being that it's Thanksgiving. Market holidays. And so here we go, the 25th of November, Thanksgiving. Tomorrow though, a half day that they're not including. So I thought that would have been up there. Seems like it needs a little bit of work. But this is good. Look at what it does. Earnings for 3 companies. Which 3 companies are having earnings on Friday, tomorrow? You know, EAR, PDD, and we can look up these okay, well, the names are right here, right? Ergo Inc. And so we can look up the names, and you know, for any of you who might be doing earnings play, this is perfect for you, right? You know, you can come back here, see what earnings are coming off, and from there you can look to attack, right? Stock splits, which is pretty interesting, and the way how the market is, everything must be listed. All these public companies must share all the information, and so you can come in here if you want. And there's been a point in time, I think about maybe like a year ago, 8 months ago, where we had reverse splits really doing really good. And so this is a way to be prepared. Let's say that trend comes back around again. Let's say next week we're seeing stocks that are doing splits going up hundreds of percents after the split. This is one way to be on pace with that, right? You come in here, you check, and you see what's going on. So I encourage everybody to play around with the tools and, you know, stay informed, stay up to date. So moving forward with my scanners page, I need to get rid of this right here and, you know, update it, right? Put what's most beneficial for me. Now that I have my high-low ticker on my left-hand screen, I no longer need a high-low ticker, right, to be here. So utilizing the screens as most efficient as possible, right? So even for me, I can't get complacent, right? I still have to continue improving and progressing, right? So this is why it's good to do these kinds of videos. It lets you know, hey, you know, let's make sure we're on top of things. If not, you know, we'll have everybody flying past us, right? So moving on to our, I believe the video is about 40 minutes to this point. Moving on to actually, that might be it. We can look up, yeah, for the rest of the video we'll look up some more indicators. So these are my screens that I'm using now and the ones that I did for the video. So right here, and I guess we can come and rename this right here to test, right? Test. Yeah, and so everything to the right of test, right? We are doing for the video and the video's sake. And so once again, those are my screens, right? Left monitor, my middle monitor, this is what I see on E-Trade. And I have this second screen here for my watch list. And my watch list, I don't need to be seeing it every single moment of the day. So I can afford to keep it on this screen that I'm not looking at all the time. Right, so that's pretty good. And let's come in here just to play around with some of the other tools that they have. There's a tool for margin, by the way. If you want to calculate margin on a specific stock, you can. So you can come in here and play around with that. Requirements, search, right? There's a bunch of different things you can come in here and play around. I suggest everybody play around and learn as much as possible. And one of the good things with E-Trade is that for each tool, and I guess I should have mentioned this at the very beginning of the video, but for each tool there is I believe there is a help button right there, which will sometimes be linked to a video that'll give you a summary of how to use the tool, right? So keep that in mind, all right? So there's margin, order entry, order status, we've talked about. Quick trade. It seems like it'll pull up a few level 2s, buy, sell. Yeah, well, not necessarily level 2, but a bit of an order entry, right? So you can take a quick trade. Moving on, we have the options chain, which I'm not going to mess around with, right? But for those of you who do trade options, alerts is pretty big. If you want to set alerts on specific stocks, you can, and you can set the criteria, right? Symbol, you search the symbol LGVN, right? And you can set the criteria for how you want the alert to ring off, right? And if I'm not mistaken, there's different sounds in here that you can use to notification, alert window. There's a note that you can even leave for yourself. And so it's pretty good to utilize this tab right here, right? You set your conditions. and you look to you know, as soon as the stock is curling back up, you know what it is real time. So classic charts, high low, market depth, which is level 2, quick quote, time and sales, trade ticker. All right, trade ticker, let's see. High bid, low offer. Pretty interesting layout here for this one. This I'm not too familiar with, but let's see. It seems, you know, it's another way to be able to look up stocks and potentially take trade. Very interesting. Very interesting. So once again, I do urge you guys to look it up, to look up the tools, play around with them a little bit, and then of course, and let's open this one back again. Yeah, to look them up and, you know, play around a little bit. There's a bunch of tutorials, by the way. Now, on the website, I know there's a bunch of tutorials. Let's see. Menu. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of tutorials. So on the website, you guys can definitely check them out, to be able to better familiarize yourself with the other tools. But yeah, and so you can save your layout, right? Last but not least, you can save your layout, create a new layout, virtual desktops, which will be our screens right down there at the bottom. I believe this is a way to switch between screens. So you can save your layout online through E-Trade. This way, and this is pretty important, this way if you're traveling, right? This way if you're traveling, and you can see I have different names depending on where I'm at and which computer I'm using. Because some days if I don't trade and I'm on the move, I'll be using one of these PCs. Relentless-tj Pro is what I'm using now, I believe. And so there's different names here depending on you know, if I save my layout online or to the computer itself. And I believe the online save is much better. That way, when you're on the go, you can just choose, right? If you save it local, it'll be saved to your desktop that you're using now. And if if you're on the move, you'll have to recreate a brand new layout, which is a bit of a headache. So settings, there's launch preferences, confirmations, account preferences, and you know, different things you guys can look into if you're interested. Launch icon, right? You can create a launch icon. This is kind of interesting here. Let's see. Is it loading? I'm not seeing anything changing. Performance, live, slower, outline faster. There's a bunch of different things you guys can play around with. Memory. But I think that's about it. I think that's about it for E-Trade and all my screens. So in the next video, we'll be doing Thinkorswim Part 1. We'll be talking about my layout here. And Thinkorswim might be a bit of a shorter video because everything is kind of compiled in just one screen, really, right? There's no other screens that I use besides these 4 chartings, this column on the left hand side, and we do have the monitor, trade, analyze, and scans tab that I'll be talking about, which is a bit of a backup to my watch list and high of day, high low ticker, right? So we'll get into this in the next video. That's all for now for E-Trade Pro. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Leave any feedback down below that you guys might want to see. If you guys want a different style, different approach, that kind of thing, let me know. But for now, that's going to be it. It's been Relentless Trader. It's been a good day. And I am, of course, signing out.